What helped me, and I think can potentially help others, is finding what you're really good at that seems effortless,
Mhm.
that also drives enjoyability, right? So happiness can be derived from your contentment of fulfilling whatever problem you're solving with minimal effort that is required of you. Now, it may seem monumentous to someone else.
Let's learn how our next guest gets up, dress up, and show up on purpose. Enjoy the episode. Hello, morning enthusiasts. Welcome to the Best Morning Routine Ever podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lunid, and today I have an amazing man here today to tell us all about how he turns a business around, his entrepreneurial journey from in the midst of COVID, and how he's found his purpose and how he's working and doing exactly what he loves. Today we have Steve Class. He is driven entrepreneur with over 10 years of experience in hospitality and sales. Steve's entrepreneurial journey took off in the midst of the pandemic when he founded a property management company in 2020. This startup quickly became a success story, growing from nothing to pulling in over millions of dollars a year in just under 3 years. So that is phenomenal, especially during that time, because we understand that the market was not it was hot, right? The market was
Exactly.
very different during that time. So I'm excited to dive into it. So with no further ado, Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm going to hire you just to kind of follow me around just to announce my presence because that was amazing of an intro. So I appreciate you for that. Very excited to be
Oh,
here. Very excited to
yes.
be on this show.
So
Thank you.
happy to have you. Now, tell us about your before the pandemic, before 2020, like what led you here? Because you were doing sales, you were in the hospitality, and so now you ventured into the entrepreneurial journey in 2020. Tell us what led you to that. What made that a reality?
Yeah, accidentally and then intentionally. So
Okay.
I'll rewind the clock a little bit way back to when I was 12 years old, and I found that my dad was getting arrested for money laundering. And
Mhm.
he owns several businesses at the time, and we're living a fairly high life as a young man. And my mother was a Moroccan immigrant, was illiterate, didn't know how to read or write. So when he went to prison, I had to kind of step up to help out the family as the older brother, take care of my younger brother, and make
Right.
sure my mom was on the right path as well. And when he got out of prison, he was very much still the entrepreneurial spirit. Learned his lesson, and we tried opening up a restaurant together. That ended up failing. So I always had this entrepreneurship bug, but I was very dissuaded because I saw what bad actions can lead to, and then I saw what a failure could lead to. So I went the tried and true path of just kind of going into corporate America. Went to college, did the standard 9 to 5 routine. Always
Mhm.
kept the idea of business in the back of my head as something that I wanted to do. And for me, my path was, okay, maybe it's going to be real estate investing. I'll buy a property every other year, something small. And eventually the cash flow will let me retire early. And I had
Mhm.
a 20-year plan. And it was that way right up until COVID. And I was working in the event and hospitality industry. And I got a phone call from my boss. I would never forget. It was May of 2020. I was driving down to visit my cousins in North Carolina. Found out I was going to be laid off with no foreseeable future. And as everyone remembers in the pandemic, we didn't know how long it was going to last. I know my
Right.
industry was going to be decimated for probably a year or two at least.
Mhm.
And my wife is also in the travel industry and she was getting laid off. We found that out an hour after that phone call. So as
Wow.
you can imagine, loss of income completely.
Mhm.
We owned 1 or 2 properties, so nothing too crazy. And my wife is 6 months pregnant at the time.
Oh.
So, doctor, I tell you, it was a harrowing experience of like, I need to make a move right now. And you burn the boats, so to speak.
Mm.
That's the terminology
Yeah.
I always love to say. Where I was honestly was a coward to do it beforehand. But it was something that was forced upon me, so I had no choice now. And I took my decades worth of sales and marketing. I took my passion for real estate, and I said, what is something that I can do right now that is recession proof, so to speak?
Yeah.
And I want to do something in real estate. I didn't want to be a realtor because I didn't want to work nights and weekends anymore. And that was,
Mhm.
very transactional. So I found property management. For me, it was a way to scale without using my own money to buy real estate because I would manage real estate for other investors.
Right.
So the way that works is typically it's a percentage of the rent collected. And in this case, my case, it was 10%. It could be anywhere from 8 to 12%, though, depending on your region. So in my eyes, I'm like, well, I can become a 10% owner in a way of all these properties if I just have the right systems in place. Mm-hmm. And I achieved that really through having an effective sales and marketing program, because I feel that when you think of a service-based business, right, you think of a plumber, a property manager, a landscaper, most of these gentlemen and ladies are from a little bit of the old world where they don't necessarily have systems in place. They're just calling on a cell phone maybe and getting back to emails whenever they can. So there's not like a set marketing in place. So if you can get out of the gate and have that from day one and invest into software, I highly encourage it. And that's what I did. I did it through a really great inbound lead generation marketing campaign where I just had some Google keywords. I created an offer that was too good to be true, so to speak. I learned that from Alex Ramosi and had it where I took away all the pain points that I thought that real estate investors would have. So what happens if a tenant doesn't pay rent? What happens if the contractor doesn't fix what has to get fixed or fleeces me? What happens if the property goes undervalued or there's a recession? So I took all of these question marks and pain points and put that into a really effective marketing campaign and made it so it was an offer that was too good to be true. So let's use a tenant, for example. If I place a tenant and they go bad, I will pay for their eviction. So I take away that hesitancy of like, oh my God, I don't want to be a real estate investor. I don't want to deal with tenants. Here's my offer of taking that pain point away. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of these small, clever strategies, and a lot of them failed, but I just would learn feedback through feedback of what was the keywords that worked, what landing pages really, really stuck. And of course, I had a CRM software in the background that kind of facilitated a lot of this. Mm-hmm. And I was able to build out a really great campaign and rather rapidly grew my portfolio from zero, no contacts. I was living in New York City and moved to Connecticut, so I didn't even know anyone. A fairly successful business in a short span of time. We can get into the tactical stuff, but I want to leave it open. I'm sure you have some questions to unpack there.
Yeah, I mean, that just shows you the tenacity and resilience in you, because what happens when your back is pushed against the wall, right? Which is what happened with you and your wife in 2020. And you made lemonade. You found an in, and it wasn't totally off of what you were already doing, right? Because the sales and marketing came in very handy for you, but you also are an investor in properties yourself. So you had the background, you knew what those pain points were to actually get people into your doors. Now, it took a lot of courage to do that, right? Because in the midst of the pandemic, to start a real estate sector business with lots of uncertainty at that time, like that was no easy task. How were you going into that? Given that everyone else was selling their homes, everyone else was buying on the other side of the country, like what made you decide, okay, this is the market, I want to be in the action at this time?
Well, anytime there's turmoil or a problem time, whether it's a 2008 recession, 9/11, or in this case, COVID, there's going to be opportunity. You just have to take a step back and get a clear picture of the landscape. Mm-hmm. And what I knew was I was living in New York City at the time, and I had just moved to Connecticut. I knew that during the pandemic, people want to escape the cities, whether it's LA, New York City, Chicago, wherever it happens to be. They wanted to get a little bit more breathing room to keep their family safe. So at the time, we had an influx of people moving out of the city who wanted to live in single family homes and rent because it would have been more of a temporary status, typically. And some people stayed. And I saw this migration happening. So I specifically targeted single family homes that people were looking to rent out because they didn't want to sell. Maybe they're snowbirds in Florida, whatever the reason may be, because I knew that there was going to be a demand coming in for renters. And it was a hunch, proved out to be correct. But I always encourage other entrepreneurs that anytime that there is something occurring in the wider world, there's going to be an opportunity that you're able to capitalize on, as long as you have the wherewithal to take that step back and figure out a game plan to take advantage of it, so to speak. And for me, that was the real estate, and that's how we achieved a lot of the success there. But believe me, it was very harrowing when I was going through it because nothing was guaranteed. I didn't know if it was going to work, and I knew though that if this didn't succeed, I would try it again. I didn't care if I had to sweep up floors, whatever I had to do to take care of my family, I was going to do. And my promise to myself was that I never wanted someone else to command my fate. And that's why I wanted to be my own business owner at that time, because I saw someone pull the plug on my income, on my wife's income overnight. So that was, believe me, that's motivation itself, and not quitting attitude. I think if people try things out for 2-3 months and then give up and lose motivation. I was going to do this for 5 years. I mean, that was the kind of wherewithal I had at the time.
Yeah, and I love that, the wherewithal to kind of go through with it and not shift gears when you feel like it's not working. You got to put in the hours, right? And so with your success, you didn't only stop there. You didn't say, okay, well, we're doing so well, we're expanding. Now you want to teach this. You want to teach your process and your method to others so that they too can gain the same level of success. Tell us about success with class.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I noticed how successful this was, and from property management, I did something what I coined as cross-selling, where I saw other opportunities that were coming from my business. For example, in property management, if something breaks, you have to hire a plumber, a handyman, electrician to fix it. And I looked back at my records and I saw I was giving multiple six figures to these other vendors to fix an issue. I said, I bet you if I had the right systems in place and the right team members, I can internalize this. So I created a maintenance division as part of the company, and that exploded because now I could control the process. I was giving all that money away to strangers. Might as well bring that in-house. The key to that is having a really great chief operating officer or a VP of ops, wherever you want to coin the term, someone who's going to who knows that industry that you're into. You provide the sales funnel, and then they fulfill the achievement on the back end. And that's how my business really exploded. So I know that this is all very teachable. This isn't rocket science. I'm not the first one to say this. I encapsulated it actually in a book that you see right behind me called Service Business Mastery. So I specialize now in teaching not only property managers, but anyone in the service sector. So you're not selling a widget on Shopify, let's say. You're selling plumbing services. You're a DJ, a photographer, you're a property manager, something where there's an in-person interaction that's occurring. Because I truly believe with the right systems in place, you're just a few months away of achieving $1 million a year in gross revenue, guaranteed in a way. And it's really about what I mentioned earlier, having those effective systems in place with a great CRM system, good KPIs for your staff, excellent feedback loop, reputation management, setting yourself up to, for lack of a better word, to succeed and be a success. And that's what my program is we internalize that with an 8 to 12 week program to get someone on the right foot forward of how to capture leads. And I can do a quick little overview right now.
Yeah, because I'm curious. I'm curious to learn about the system. How does the system? What can you tell us about the system and how it is set up? Because I know you mentioned landing pages. You mentioned having the funnel as part of it and a CRM in the back end. Dive in, give us a little more deets on that.
Absolutely. So in my research, I found that most people will follow up with a lead once or maybe twice, and then that's it. If they don't answer or they don't get back to them, it's kind of null and void. What I found is that you need 7 to 10 touch points before someone actually either gets back to you or becomes a client. So what we do is we first and foremost, we define your client avatar, and we get as specific as humanly possible on what your niche is. So let's say you are a photographer, for example, but that's a wide range. Are you an event photographer? Are you a wedding photographer? Do you do bar mitzvahs? Do you do corporate events? How narrow can we make it so we can really target a certain audience? And then from there, once we build out your CRM, we build out 7 to 10 touch points where someone goes on your website or clicks on your landing page and you get an email inquiry or an Instagram message, they automatically go into a funnel that is doing a lot of the automation for you. So responding to them. And what I love, and I love to have people do more, is to add personalization with video content. We call that a VSL, video sales letter. So if someone wants your services and they reach out to you, it should be an automatic email of the business owner saying, "Hey, I am Dr. Lundy. I am so excited that you're reaching out for my services. I'm going to give you a quick little brief background on who I am and what we're looking to achieve. If you want to learn more, click on the link below. And there's a link to say a Calendly. And it's all value add. It's all you just giving away your expertise for free. And eventually people are going to say, even if you give away the keys to the castle and it's all like, this is your blueprint, this is exactly what you have to do to be successful. Most people want a helping hand. They want that validation from someone else. So people have this scarcity mindset where if I keep my secrets, no one else is going to want to use my services. It's not true. You gain clients by that trust, that know, like, and trust value. So if you provide that from the out of the gate and you build up on this 7 to 10 day campaign of just, hey, here's 5 tips on how to be an excellent photographer. Here's how to do different shot angles or whatever it is. Or this is the biggest hang up I see plumbers have. Whatever that value add is, that's what you're constantly providing them. And there's always a small call to action there where it's like, hey, book a call with me. Love to have a free consultation. Let's solve this problem together, identify the problem. And if you're able to do that, you will succeed in the business because clients will be attracted to you and want to work with you. People want to work with someone they like, put it that way.
Yeah, know, like, and trust. Yeah, and you have to do that because they all start off as cold calls. They all start off as cold markets until you got to get them warm. And so that's the process of getting them warm to trust you to take action, whichever that may be. You take your clients from 0 to million. So tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all about scalability, right? And what I see is that the owner of the business tends to be the salesperson because that's what they feel like they're good at. And they'll hire a virtual assistant, they'll hire an ops person. I try to remove the owner from the sales process as quickly as possible so they put on a visionary hat. And I know owners love that to be part of sales because they can control the process a little bit better. You're going to be stuck at a certain figure because there's only a certain amount of clients you can take on or schedule calls with. And naturally, as an owner, you're going to be dragged into the operations of your business no matter what. So I effectively want to remove you, have a great sales process that's scalable and teachable to your other employees or teammates and part of your business. Once we have that effective pipeline set up, now it's just about doing the same thing, but more of it. And that's how the scaling starts to really happen. And then we're looking now for cross-selling opportunities. So if you are a plumbing service, for example, and you're really good, you're maybe making $250,000 a year, servicing like kitchen faucets, things of that nature. You might be missing out on HVAC work because it's very tied together, and that usually goes hand in hand. So we're going to see other opportunities how we can hire and train other staff to fulfill other needs that your clients may have. So someone may call you to fulfill a need of, say, a wedding photographer, and then you might delve into videography and say, oh, I have this in-house too. Right. So now you're already capturing the hardest part is there that they know, like, and trust you. So now if you have to sell other services, it's really a no-brainer. You're not twisting anyone's arm. They already have that relationship with you. And then we're going to keep scaling that out and then also building out your operational side, because as you have more leads come in, there can be a part where the faucet is too heavy and you start to drown. So we want to make sure this is a very organic growth where you can handle the leads that come in, while also simultaneously building out the operational back end to help you fulfill your promises to the clients. Because we don't want to just do sales and be empty suits here. We want to make this so it's an operational, because the best part of business is when you start getting referrals and getting repetition of business. That's when you know you've made it as an owner. You're not only relying on new inbound leads. Yeah. So, and then very quickly, I promise that you're going to go from 0 to $1 million if you just have that mindset of growth in your head and you're getting out of your own way as a business owner, as I'm sure both of us have seen in our careers.
Yes, absolutely. And providing that exceptional service. I love that you said the faucet, it's too much, you're drowning. You got to be able to have the operation in place to provide that exceptional service. As if you had one client, when you have 500 clients, it has to be consistent.
Exactly. And even more important with the $1 million, you want to make sure it's profitable, not just making $1 million and it's costing you $950,000 to run the business. Then we're just spinning our wheels here. So I want to make sure it all makes sense.
How do we stay lean? How do we keep the company lean? Because then, as you say, we got to hire more human capital. We got to get more resources. We got to put the system in place. Let's dive into how you have been able to keep overhead low while having your team that actually helps you run the day to day.
Absolutely. That's a great question. I follow a lot of Pareto's principle of the 80-20 rule. So we want to remove clients that are the headache clients that take a lot of your time and resources. And we want to double down on the clients that provide you the most revenue with the least amount of headaches. So that's step one, because we want to always work with great clients who really appreciate the product that you're selling them. Mm-hmm. Step two is going to be more so of looking at the overall structure of your company, right? Having an organizational chart set up where everyone has key defined roles and tasks, because there might be some cross-pollination. You might find that maybe Melissa's not really, her job role can work with Sarah and you can combine the roles, or maybe you don't even need that role to trim some of the services there without losing any of the quality. So it's a pretty comprehensive and tailored approach to see where the leaking bucket is, so to speak, to make sure you're not just putting good money after bad, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a one size fits all. Every company is going to have their own specific needs and wants and profitability. And that's what we're going to really look into, because if something is making you, let's say you're selling a high ticket item for $8,000 and it costs you $7,500 to fulfill it, we're just not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to sell something that is easy enough to scale, that has that 50, 60, 70% profit margin. Because I can tell you, as a property manager, I've encountered other property managers that their profit margins are 10%, 5%, and they're relying on the real estate income of being a realtor to make up the difference. They don't even realize it, though. So we do an audit of all our clients' books to see where those leaking buckets occur.
Nice. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And so, how big is your team currently?
So I just sold a property management business just last month. So it was
Congrats.
growing to such thank you so much. So it was growing to such a great point. And this brings me to another factor for me personally, is that having a purpose-driven mission of what your business is. And property management for me was fulfilling the need of income. It wasn't fulfilling my purpose. I found my purpose to be helping other individual business owners, because I really do believe that if I can help another entrepreneur achieve $1 million and they grow their team from 1 to 10, let's just say, I create a ripple effect now. It affects the local economy.
Right.
They're more likely to espouse what they learn to other entrepreneurs, and contributing a verse is what I like to say to the business sense. And I learned this just from doing podcasts just like this and meeting other entrepreneurs. Like, this is what drives me, what feeds my juices. And I knew that eventually I can get the property management business automated, whereas only maybe taking 10 hours a week. But I knew in order to get there, it was going to take at least 2 years probably. Mm-hmm. And I'm a young guy. I'm always in a rush. That's the shiny object syndrome. I wanted to do my coaching program yesterday. So I immediately looked to sell, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to focus all my resources onto it. And I had an offer that was too good to be true that also incentivized me for sure. I still have a construction business that handles a lot of the maintenance. I still have a real estate brokerage, but mainly those are very, very much autonomous, because I have great operating officers running them. So I can focus on what I love, which is having these conversations and helping other entrepreneurs.
Yeah, let's talk about that briefly, about that, finding your purpose and living in that space of what drives you. So it doesn't feel like work, right? We were talking about that offline a little bit. Like you come in, you do it, we're just having fun. And so let's dive into that, what it means to find your purpose. And for those who are listening that are in the entrepreneurial journey, sometimes that's what keeps us going.
Absolutely. I read this book called Ikigai, which is a Japanese phrase of like life's purpose, for example. And it was pretty transformative for me. What helped me, and I think can potentially help others, is finding what you're really good at that seems effortless, that also drives enjoyability, right? So happiness can be derived from your contentment of fulfilling whatever problem you're solving with minimal effort that is required of you. Now, it may seem monumentous to someone else. For example, if you're a plumber and if you're not a plumber, you have a leak in your kitchen, it's a really, really harrowing problem for you. You're not going to know how to fix it. You're going to be going crazy. Where a plumber, it's second nature. They go in, they know how to fix it, and they're rewarded by helping some of their local community members stopping this leak, for example. I would say, look to see what you're good at, what people have praised you for in your past, and also what you're enjoying. And see what fields might fit into that. And it might be a broad range. Maybe it's hospitality. Maybe you're really good at customer service. Maybe you're introverted, but a brainiac when it comes to engineering, and you love tinkering and creating things. It's going to be something that is inherently good for you, and also you're good at. If now I'm good at certain things, like for example, I'm fairly decent at accounting. I hate doing it.
Yeah,
that's not my speed. I'm not going to be a bookkeeper. I don't want to really teach people how to do accounting. So just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you should be doing it. And I think that it's a lifelong journey, because as you age and progress, your purpose may change. And you may have to adapt to that as you move along. Like right now, for me, my purpose is coaching. But maybe in 10 years, it's going to be opening up a nonprofit. I'm not sure, but it's always questioning yourself every single day of is this what I should be doing? Is this what I should be doing? And easier said than done to quit your job or start up your own entrepreneurial journey or pivot. but eventually something's going to take. And I'll share a quick, really personal moment for me where I knew I had to sell the business. My mother recently passed away in June. And beforehand, I had so many conversations, and she was always saying how proud that she was of me and creating a business, being the first, net millionaire in the family. And I was, Ma, it's great, but I'm not really happy doing what I am. Well, she's like, well, you should do something you're happy with doing. I'll be proud of you no matter what. I kept pushing it off until she passed away. And literally the next week, I picked up the phone and I called up someone else and said, I have to sell my business. This is it. This is not fulfilling me anymore. And I know I'm making good money. I know I'll get a decent offer, but it's regardless. I would have left the business for free at that point to be rid of the burden of it in my mind. So I hope that others can take that message and really not have to experience what I experienced, but take a leap to make a decision.
Yeah, in that leap of faith that will guide you, you'll have what you need at the right time. Like you rest in that. You knew that, like, you didn't have to worry about not knowing what the next step is. You knew that you built it once, you can do it again. That can never be taken
that's exactly
from you.
what I thought. For sure.
Yeah, let's talk about your morning routine. How do you get up, dress up, and show up?
I love that. I'm going to steal that, by the way. So I would love to say that I journal every single morning and I take an ice bath and I meditate and do all this fun stuff. I did do a lot of that, but I have two kids. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old. So it's ever more challenging now to have a great morning routine. However, what's worked for me was still setting up that clock for 5 o'clock in the morning, regardless of how I slept the night, regardless if my baby was up and I didn't need to change diapers. I got out of bed every single morning. And the motivation for me came from Mel Robbins, who spoke about, think of it as like
5 minutes.
Yep. That quick little, the countdown's happening, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you just get up because you're on a mission in life. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't do this every single morning. I do my very best, but that's how I get up. Typically I'll get up, I'll make myself a cup of coffee. It's the only quiet time I have in the day before my kids are up and the mayhem ensues. So I'll sit there and I will do a personal journal, and that's not work related. Just on what's my thoughts, what my aspirations are, where I see myself, nothing to do with my day-to-day task management. And that sets the tone of how I'm going to be achieving the day. And more importantly, it's the night before. The night before is when I really set the intention for the morning. So I will make sure my coffee is ready to be brewed. I'll make sure my journal is out with the pen there, so I don't have to go looking for it. I'll make sure my clothes are set out, ready to get dressed, because I don't want to be fumbling around and then I wake up someone and then my day's gone and it gets ahead of you. So I'm encouraged, set up the day before and then have at least a plan or a discipline of just rising in the morning. You don't have to meditate. You don't have to journal. I happen to exercise 5 days a week. You don't have to do any of that, but make sure you're getting up with intentionality of some discipline where it's not your alarm, your day getting ahead of you. So whether it's 5:30, 6 in the morning, get up at the same time every single day, no matter what, and then have a discipline of that, and then eventually good things will come about it. My opinion.
I agree. And once you found your purpose, your dreams will wake you up. Your goals will wake you up for that same day. You won't need an alarm clock. You'll just happen to wake up at the same time. You said it so beautifully, Steve. I don't know if I could add anything. That's why I love this show so much, because you are the success of the true backing of a great morning routine, and you really said it very well. I have a 12-month as well, 12-month-old.
So
Yep. As we evolve, we got to work around their schedule. So getting up an extra hour early before she gets up or her husband get up is really what you need to do to make time for you. Because if you want to show up for your family, you want to show up for your team members, and you want to show up for your clients, right? So you have to make that extra time in the morning. So I really like that you say, and it does start the night before. It starts the night before. You got to plan with intention. And so thank you for sharing that. Tell us, where can we connect with you? Where can we find you?
Absolutely. So there's 3 ways. You can find me on Instagram. It's Stevie Class at, so it's super easy to find me. My website is successwithclass.com. And if I do have a book out, it's on Amazon right now. And if your listeners send me an email at steve@successwithclass.com, I will send it to them for free. It's called Service Business Mastery. And it's literally the blueprint of how to achieve $1 million plus in gross revenue. I laid out my journey. I laid out every single step, basically outlining the foundation of how to get started for totally free. So I'm happy to share that. And if, of course, if you're a service-based entrepreneur, someone who is a plumber, a DJ, electrician, a property manager, I'm happy to have a totally free 30-minute, no obligation consultation call and see how I can impact your life in just that quick little snippet of how I can give as much advice as humanly possible. And if you want to continue working with me, I would love that as well.
You just add tons and tons of value, Steve. It's been such an honor getting to know you and knowing about your business and how you turn clients from 0 to million. And that, as we evolve as human beings, it may change. It may change what we decide, what our passion is, who we become later on in life. That's okay. It's knowing that we are evolving and we want to be, our plans will evolve as well. And so
absolutely.
You said that beautifully. We love quotes here. Advice. What is one piece of advice or one memorable quote you'd like to leave us with?
This comes from Walt Whitman, and I learned this from Dead Poet Society. And to me, it's always my favorite one, and it's contribute a verse, because that is what my intention is to move the needle just a little bit. So I would say contributing a verse is my life's goal and my quote from Mr. Walt Whitman. And if I want to sneak in just one more there, it is, I believe it's also by Walt. No, it might not be Walt Whitman. It might be from the gentleman whose name is escaping me, who lived in the woods, and people are probably, Henry David Thoreau. He said, the mass of men live lives of quiet desperation. Do not be the mass of men who live quiet desperation. Be the person who enriches others around you. Be the person of service. And that's my two quotes of the day here.
Ooh, I love that. Be the light. I love that. Thank you, Steve, so much for sharing. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Likewise. Thanks so much, Doctor. I really, really appreciate this.
Awesome.
Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please comment and tell us what was your favorite part, your favorite habit that you are going to try out for yourself today. Comment below. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Until next time, I will see you at the top of your best morning routine ever. Stay blessed.